I'm Alex Savidge from KTVU, Fox 2 News here in the San Francisco Bay Area. And today, the city of San Francisco officially moved from the red tier to the orange tier in the state's color-coded reopening system. And that means that restaurants are allowed to offer indoor dining at up to 25% capacity or as many as 100 customers. Joining us now to react to this news is Laurie Thomas, the executive director of the Golden Gate Restaurant Association. Laurie, thanks for coming on today. Were you expecting that the city and county of San Francisco would be moving up a tier, and what's your reaction to indoor dining now being allowed?
Well, thanks for having me, Alex. I appreciate it. And yes, we were hopeful based on the case numbers and things that we would see the state assign the city and county of San Francisco into the orange tier, thus allowing us to move to the agreed upon plan of indoor dining at the lower red capacity of 25%. So we were hopeful, and now it looks like that's the case. So this is great news.
All right, so talk about the next steps in this process, because there are obviously going to be a lot of parameters and a lot of safety measures that have to be in place for restaurants to start allowing customers to eat indoors in San Francisco. I know a lot of this is you are, among others, working on these guidelines with the Department of Public Health.
Right.
What's the next step to get the guidelines out to all the restaurant owners in the city, and what do those guidelines look like?
Right. So what I want to commend everybody for doing is back last Thursday on the 24th of September, the Department of Health released preliminary guidelines, like a draft. It was a draft guidelines for indoor dining. And that had a few items that we had more discussions about, put it that way. And then today, if you go look at the San Francisco's reopening target timeline, you will see that indoor dining is now listed under September 30th, which will be tomorrow, and that there is an updated preliminary set of guidelines on that site. You can link to it, a PDF. It says preliminary final, that has incorporated some of the changes. We worked with them over the weekend to clarify that capacity should be on percentage of occupancy, including only the patrons, right? Not the employees, things like that. And so that is a pre-final version. And then tomorrow, when the final version is announced, then if everybody can adhere to it, and there are a lot of additional hurdles, then people will be able to open for indoor dining.
What are you hearing from your members, the owners, the restaurant owners in San Francisco? Everybody seems like the rules as they understand them now, the guidelines as they understand them now, given it's not the final version yet, but everybody seems like they're okay with what's out there, and they should be able to adhere?
Yes, I haven't heard the screaming and yelling that I heard with the capacity, including employees on last Thursday. That would mean that the smaller restaurants, like one of mine, wouldn't even have been able to open if we had to include the employee count in it. So I think that there are a lot of detailed things. There is, I think the biggest change for customers, and I want to put this out here and you guys can help us with this message, is that everybody now, including outdoor customers, outdoor diners, will be asked to answer those 3 questions that we see if we get our hair cut or we go to the dentist, which is, have you tested positive in the past 10 days? Have you been exposed to anybody in the past 14 days? And have you exhibited any of set symptoms in the past 24 hours? And that is going to be a verbal acknowledgement, much like if you're in the exit seat, will you open the door on a plane? Similar kind of thing. Yeah. We will have posters. So that will be a new change. One of the other new changes that I think might shock and cause some angst with people, but please bear with us, is that the Department of Health is asking for a 2-hour limit on all reservations.
Okay. So you mean starting the meal from the start of the meal to the end of the meal, it's got to move along rather quickly.
They don't want everybody
no lingering,
drinking and getting progressively more inebriated and louder and boisterous. So it's meant to be a dining experience, and 2 hours might be a little on the shorter side, but I know that that's going to be required.
Okay. Real quick clarification, the 25% is only indoor. So let's say I have a restaurant where—
Correct. Yeah, it's only indoor.
Outdoor setting.
Yeah, your postage capacity didn't refer to your outdoor setting before. It's just the interior. Now, that's the other thing I think we should make everybody aware of, is that it's still not going to be the nice, cozy, warm, comfortable experience. I mean, we are going to open windows. We are going to ask people open windows, that they open the doors, that there's cross ventilation, because what we want to do is make sure the air moves around. There's suggested guidance about your HVAC filters and about perhaps getting portable air purifiers and things, but it's not required because we were sensitive to equity concerns and cost and things like that, and availability, honestly. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that makes sense. What about in terms of masks?
Oh, yes.
Folks are going to need to show up with a mask on, I imagine. What are the rules in terms of when?
Yeah. So I think, again, I'm not sure everybody is up on this yet, but back on July 1st, the city revised the mask policy. And we are going to actually now be required as restaurants to have a little laminated sign on the table, which I'm totally supportive of. We're just working with the city right now on getting those laminated signs, whether they're 8.5 by 11, something like that, laminated so you can clean them between customers, that will reiterate the mask policy. So here's the basic mask policy. Whenever, let's say you and I go to a restaurant, we want to have the mask on as we approach the host stand, as we're seated. And then we really need to put that mask back on or keep it on when any of the staff approaches the table. So what does that mean? That means me, the manager, the host, the server, the busser, somebody dropping the food off, the runner, the bartender, if somebody's serving you, the chef, if he or she delivers the food. Basically, what we want to do is protect the staff, right? As well as customers, but the staff are the ones making the contact and moving around. So we really want everybody to be sensitive to that. And it is mandated that whenever the staff approaches, you have to put the mask on, or the staff should not get within 6 feet of you.
A lot of doing this is gonna be making sure that you have customers who are buying in, so to speak, right? I mean, people have to, if they're going to come, if we want to do this again, customers have to be willing to adhere to these rules and to be a part of the solution and make it all work.
It's critical, and we are going to be working again with the city and our PR firm from the Golden Gate Restaurant Association on a Dine Safe, Live Safe campaign. Because what we want to say is, if we all want to do this again, and we want to do it right? I mean, we're not going to be like Florida, or we want to do this right. We want to keep the case count down. We want to slowly move forward, and we need everybody to do this. My staff, and we don't want to put them in a police role, right? So if you're going to dine out, I understand it's a pain. I understand that maybe you don't want to do it, but if you're not up for that, then maybe you're not ready to dine out yet, right? And I think that everybody needs to act as an adult and realize that this is who we are, and we can do this in San Francisco.
Absolutely. We don't need any of those mask fights that we
see
videos of around the country. No, I mean, honestly, yeah, we don't need that.
And it's really not fair for you to dine out and put your servers and your staff and people that are waiting on you at risk. It's just it's not fair. And if you don't want to deal with it, order takeout, eat at home, right? I mean, there's other options how you can support the restaurant. But if you are going to dine out, particularly now that we're moving inside, we have to try to adhere to this.
Absolutely. Let me ask you about, the economic picture here for restaurants in San Francisco. You're a restaurant owner yourself. You own 2 restaurants in the city. I mean, I know that owners like you have obviously just been, you've been hammered by this pandemic. Is this enough? 25% capacity. You're shaking your head.
This is not enough. Like, if there are restaurants in the Moscone area, let's use it as an example, that are shuttered because we don't have the conventions, that aren't open, that there's just not the visitor nexus there. Being open at 25% probably won't work for them as the only means. But like for us out in the neighborhoods, we've been doing outdoor dining for a month now. This we can add incrementally. You know what I mean? We can bring in incremental revenue. We can add some more hours. We can add a couple of more individuals back. We only have 50% of our staff back right now, right? So we could add a couple of more jobs back, and it moves in the right direction. And, we need to remember how to do this again. We need to remember. I mean, it's been 6 months since we've had inside dining, and it's kind of a crawl before you walk thing. Now, what is really exciting is Speaker Pelosi and her team, and the move to do what I've seen called the CARES 4 Act. I don't know if it will have the HEROES Act name, but incorporating the Restaurants Act relief and some more PPP that looks like it could really help the restaurant industry. But the specific Restaurants Act grant relief for independent restaurants is as written in this proposal. And so hopefully that will give it a much higher probability of being in the final relief package, which we're really hoping for by the end of the week.
Yeah, obviously restaurant owners.
And that's what we need to survive, Alex. We need that.
No, obviously, I mean, obviously, yeah, 25% is not,
but it's a start, right?
Ideal, but it's a step in the right direction.
Correct. And it lets us test it, right? As Dr. Aragon said, all we can do is try now. We can give this a shot. We can see how this works, right? And what we don't want to do is go backwards and close stuff down, right? That's the game. The game is how do we control everything to move ahead, but more importantly, how do we not slide back?
All right. Well, again, so it could be by this time, potentially tomorrow, restaurants, we might see folks dining indoors.
I don't have
maybe go Thursday. You think it might happen by Thursday?
I would say that tomorrow is going to be, I won't make tomorrow. My team is not trying for tomorrow. We're not that good.
But
I think by Thursday, you might start to see it. Certainly by this weekend, I think you'll start to see it. Yeah.
All right. Well, it certainly is. It's a big deal for San Francisco, and appreciate you coming on to break down what this all means and how this is going to help a lot of restaurant owners in the city. Laurie Thomas, with the executive director of the Golden Gate Restaurant Association. Appreciate your time. Best of luck to you and all your fellow restaurant owners there in San Francisco.
Thank you very much. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Well.